Hey everybody, and welcome to Binder Minder. And today we have another Secret Lair, but this is a little different. This is a deck, not the first deck we've opened up here, but this is the first DanDan deck that we've opened up here. So I haven't dove into this yet. I will say, like the last few Secret Lairs, there are a lot of people who've been having some quality issues and stuff. There's even a few people that received a Goblin deck, Commander deck, that doesn't even exist yet. But we did receive a DanDan deck, but I haven't opened this thing up. I don't know if you guys have never seen DanDan. DanDan's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite ways to play Magic. You use one deck. So this deck is played by two people at the same time. You share the same card stack, and you share the same graveyard. And basically you're playing against each other with a whole bunch of different interaction, especially with this being blue, to be able to try to attack with a fish named DanDan, which can only attack or exist if you have islands. So there's some things where you can rename people's islands to something else. The fish die, stuff like that. So it's pretty fun. I've actually got my own deck, which I've got here, and I might, depending on how long this takes, I might run through and kind of do a comparison. But yeah, this one is the Secret Lair deck, and to be honest with you, when they announced this, I was really excited about it, but I was a little worried that I already own the deck. I've already spent the money on it. So buying a duplicate is kind of a waste of money. But to be honest with you, the price for this thing being $99 ended up being around the same price that I would have maybe paid to get some visual upgrades for my DanDan deck. As far as like if they had introduced like maybe 2 or 3 layers. And we got a lot more than that because they have a whole set of 4 lands and stuff to go with this. So anyhow, let's dive into this real quick. Make sure we have no quality issues. It does have its own special box. It's actually pretty cool looking. And you do get matching counters, life counters. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do these in increments of 4, because that's what the DanDans themselves attack with, or as some people have used, coins or tokens or something like that. These are really cool, being foil and everything as well. But I do think that some cool coins or something would have been just as cool as well. You do get a poster with the koi fish art on it, and I think this is going to have instructions. Yeah, this has got instructions on how to play it. So it's DanDan, or Forgetful Fish is another way to explain the deck. I will say the other reason why I was interested in this thing even after owning the deck was that this deck is pretty significantly different. For having a lot of the same cards, there's still a lot different in the deck. So I might do a comparison there, or I might link in the description below the deck list for my deck and then this deck. If I did that, which we'll find out future me, I'll just put a little comment right here. So alright, dive in. So I have seen people that have been missing a fish. I've seen stuff, miscuts. I've seen discard cards, all kinds of stuff like that. So we're going to dive into it. So no surprises here. There's no special bonus. Well, this is a bonus card, but there's no surprise or chase bonus card. Vision Charm is the bonus card for this, and you get 2 of them, which is cool. So split this thing up. So the half of the deck is retro framed, and then the other half are borderless cards. In fact, more than half, which you might be able to see. It's more than half. This is actually quite a few. For $99 for Secret Lairs, this is quite a few borderless cards. we'll start off with the lands. There are 4 different lands. They're all borderless. And they are a panoramic design. See if I got it right. Does not look like I got it right. So there's our panoramic land. Pretty neat. It's a little bit in my shadow here, but I don't mess with it too much. But yeah, so you got 5 of those. Put these back in my pile here in order until I get them all sleeved up. We will make sure that there aren't any issues, quality issues, and I can see maybe, nope, there's some birds. I think these would look good without the foil too. I mean, I do like foils, but foils are dark. When they don't do the rainbow foils, which these are not rainbow foils, these are like the normal foils, they get dark. And sometimes, depending on your lighting, they can be harder to see. Good thing is these are islands, so it's not that big of a deal. Alright. So, as the namesake goes, there are 10 DanDans. Make sure we have 10. We've got 10, and then there's 2 different artworks for these. So they're both koi fish. They kind of face 2 different directions. If you've never seen this, like I said, it's not a very good card. 2 blue mana, it's a 4/1. This creature cannot attack unless defending player controls islands. And when you control no islands, you sacrifice this creature. Like I said, there's a lot of play around that. Because if the person you're playing against doesn't have an island at the time, which there are cards in both this deck and my deck that are blue but not islands, you can't attack them. And then if you have no islands, yeah, you have to sacrifice it. So these things are beautiful. The artwork is great. Big fan of the artwork on these things. There is a playmat of those. Would be kind of neat to have both of the art for the playmats, or like a double-sided playmat, since you're going to always play it with somebody else. Next up, we have accumulated knowledge. We get 4 of them. Love the art on these. Draw a card, then draw 2 cards equal to the number of cards named accumulated knowledge in the graveyards. This is the card. I have a similar card in my deck, but not this card. Then we have Magical Hack. You get 2 of them. Change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of one basic land type with another. So in this case, you could change the DanDan to say that it's looking for mountains instead, and they will die. Get a whole stack of memory lapse. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 memory lapse. These are 2 mana, 1 in the blue, counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, put it on top of the owner's library instead of the end of the player's graveyard. Remember, you both share the same library and graveyard, so there's a lot of playing around with this. You can memory lapse something, but if the person has a card draw, then maybe they can redraw it again. If not, you get it next time. And then the last of the non-bonus card, borderless cards, was this beautiful Mystic Sanctuary. This is the land. This land enters tapped unless you control 3 or more islands. When this land enters untapped, you may put a target instant sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. Only really useful if you have card draw, so keep that in mind. So like I said, the other Vision Charm, this is the bonus card. You can swap this in. You could, in theory, run it as an 82 card deck instead, and run these as well. This has got some options. It's 1 mana instant. Choose 1. Target player mills 4 cards. Choose a land type and a basic land type. Each land of this first chosen type becomes the second chosen type until the end of turn. Target artifact faces out. So at least the first 2 options You know, if somebody puts something on top of their deck, for example, you can mill it into the graveyard as an instant for 1 mana, or you can change the land type to just something else and mess with their mana base, or in this case, also the DanDans. The other thing, so like I said, with the other half of this, is these are all retro framed. I think a few of these have not been printed as retro frame before, but I'd have to go through to be completely sure. Nothing standing out at me. I know that that's not new. Maybe a couple of these islands. Maybe not. I could be wrong. Alright, so you've got 2 brainstorms. Draw 3 cards. Put 2 put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. You know, remember you're playing around with the top of the deck. You can put things on there so that the next person draws a card, and then then your turn you draw one. You can try to force them to draw something. Capture of Jin Zhao. Take an extra turn after this one. It's 3 and 2 blue. This you have 2 of these, and this is definitely something that's not in my deck. Chart a course. Draw 2 cards and discard a card unless you attack this turn. You get 2 of those. Control magic. We have 2 of those. Enchant creature. You control enchanted creatures. You can just steal one of the DanDans. Change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of one color with another basic land type until the end of turn, and you get to draw a card and get 2 of those. Day's Undoing, 2 of those. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into the library, and then draw 7 cards if it's your turn. End the turn. Mental Note, 2 of those. Mill 2 cards, draw a card for 1 mana. So if you know somebody put something crappy right on top, you can mill those out. Metamorphose is another one of those. Put target permanent on top of an opponent controls on top of its owner's library. That opponent may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card from their hand into the battlefield. Predict. So choose card name, and then target player mills a card if that card with the name chosen was milled. This way, you draw 2 cards. Otherwise, you draw a card. Otherwise you draw 1 card. So if you've brainstormed or anything, put something on top, you can name the card. I mean, you can also just guess, I guess, but I wouldn't recommend it. Telling time, get 2 of those. Look at the top 3 cards in your library, put 1 of those into your hand, 1 on top of your library and 1 on the bottom of your library. Play this and then play this, and you get an extra couple card draw. Unsubstantiate. Return target spell or creature to its owner's hand. There's 2 of those. Then we have the other lands. You have 2 Halimar Depths. Enters tab. From this land that enters, look at the top 3 cards of your library and put them back in any order. Back to that whole knowing what's on top of the deck, playing with your opponent's draw. Haunted Fingraph. These tap for a colorless, but you can also pay 3 and sacrifice this land. Return a creature card for random from your graveyard to your hand. There's only 1 creature going to be in the graveyard here. It can only be a DanDan. It's a cool way to be able to bring a DanDan back. That is not in my deck, I'm pretty sure. Lonely Sandbar. This land is tapped. It's tapped for blue mana, but it has cycling for 1 mana. So, worst case, later on, you can cycle these. Same thing with this thing. This land enters tapped for Remote Isles. Taps for blue, but for 2, you can cycle these. Surgical Bay enters tapped. And you can 1 in blue, sacrifice this land and draw a card. So, same idea, except for cycling, you have to do it when you play it. This, you can play it and then later on sacrifice it. And then here you go, similar deal. Enters tapped, taps for blue, but then later on, if you need to, you can sack it and get 2 mana if you need it in a pinch. I am a big fan of the art that they went with on these things, especially these lands. If you were looking at these for value, these things are going to be very valuable because a lot of people that wanted these did not get them. They sold out extremely fast. It was like 27 minutes or something like that from opening to being sold out, which is faster than most times. And yeah, Because of the demand from this, there's also a lot of people that have been buying up the cards needed to build DanDan decks as well. So even the non-special versions of these have been selling like crazy. Anyhow, I guess I can get out my DanDan deck. We've played this thing a bunch. You'll notice that this one doesn't have any tokens. Mine does, because we have some stuff that creates copies, clues, stuff like that. I don't know if there's any... Yeah, there's no skeletons or anything, so... I'll just kind of run through this one real quick. Like I said, it is different. What I will note, so this, when I built this one, this is similar to the Ristic Studies. In fact, I think it might be a direct copy of Ristic Studies DanDan deck from back a few years ago. The changes that they've made for this deck from Secret Lair, there are a lot more instant interaction. This deck has got a lot more sorcery speed stuff. So, anyhow, for the lands, I've got Mystic Sanctuary. We already saw those in this thing. This one's a little different, Floodplain, so it's just a fetch land. You can search your land library for an island. But these are really good as a way to be able to force a shuffle. Something that I don't really see. There's mill, but there's not any forced shuffle that I know of in that deck, and I think these are pretty nice for that. Temple of Epiphany, and then Is It Boiler Work? So Is It Boiler Work? You bring it out, you return a land to your hand. So this taps for the 1 blue, 1 red. This right here is a scry, and it taps for or blue or red. You'll be wondering why there's red in general. This deck does have a card with flashback that flashes back with red. They did get rid of that in the Secret Lair version. I'm not sure, until I've played that, I don't know how I feel about that. The flashback thing is kind of fun, but the flashback being in a color, like in a specific color, did sometimes mean that somebody might end up with all the red lands and they have a bit of an advantage. But that's part of the fun of the game sometimes, where you know that the other player has red mana, and you have a card that has flashback and you don't want to play it because you know that the other player can play that flashback. Remote Isle, we saw those there. Halibur Depths. This enters tapped. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. We did see that in there. Lonely Sandbar Cycle, we saw that. And then this deck, all the rest of the lands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 islands. We know the Secret Lair one has more because there's 4 designs at 5 each, right? So that's 20. But we also, I think, have a few more lands with these dual colored lands. So that even it out. As far as the deck itself goes, there is a big stack of memory laps. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 memory laps. Counter target spell. That spell countered that way. Put it on top of the library instead of into the graveyard. We got the DanDans. These are the old DanDans. And if you've never seen this art, a lot of people for a long time. So with the koi fish design, it's real obvious. It's a fish, right? In fact, I'll pull it up here and make sure. So it's actually creature fish. Well, old DanDan cards just say summon fish or summon DanDan. So it doesn't actually specify that it's a fish. And the artwork here, a lot of people thought that DanDan was the boat, but there is a fish right here if you look closely. It's a little bit easier to see on camera than it is in person, I think. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those. And I do have a couple different versions of the artwork. So this one right here has the island home. And I don't know if I have any other ones. I think that might be it. Yeah, the 2 different versions. But still like the old retro ones too. In fact, part of me wishes that we got a full borderless deck and then a full retro deck, because like I said, some of these cards I don't have in retro. I don't know that a few of these exist. Memory Lapse is kind of a big one. We have take inventory. We've got 4 of those. Draw a card, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named take inventory. This isn't in that deck, but there is a similar one. That one I think is instant speed. This is sorcery speed. Charter Course, draw 2 cards and discard a card unless you attack this turn. This is not in that one, I don't think. Again, sorcery speed. There is card draw though. Change the text of a permanent, mind bend, 2 of those, supplement form, turn target creature to its owner's hand, you put a token into the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. This does not exist in that. This is an instant, and this can be fun. This can be a fun way to turn the tides. Bounce a DanDan back, but give yourself a DanDan. Unsubstantiate, there's 2 of those, return target creature spell to owner's hand, Narset's Reversal. Copy target instant or sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. This is not in there as well. It's pretty fun. Gone Missing, 2 of those. Put target permanent on top of its owner's library. And this is where we get those clues. This is 6 mana and it's a sorcery. Predict, 2 of those. We already saw that. Choose card name. Mystic Retrieval. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. This is the one with flashback. 3, 2, and a red. Repulse. We have 2 of those. It's instant. Return card creature card to its owner's hand and draw a card. Diminishing Returns. Each player shuffles his hand into the graveyard. But then you remove the top 10 cards of your library from the game. Then each player draws up to 7 cards. So this one right here, as you do this, we're taking out 10 cards. We're taking out 10 cards here. If we play it a second time, this can eliminate some of the DanDans in the deck. Metamorphosis, this is in that deck. Put target permanent on an opponent controls on top of his own library. Magical Hack, change color of the card, that's an important one. And Brainstorm, also an important one. But you'll see that mine has old frames for some things, but there's a lot of these new frames as well. When I bought this, it was just kind of whatever I could get. So DanDan kind of comes around every year or two. Every time somebody does a video on it, somebody like the professor will do a video, anybody with a big channel, or in this case, Secret Lair, and it draws attention to it, and you'll see the prices of all these cards, especially DanDan itself, go crazy. These DanDans are, not exactly getting tons of reprints. It's actually really awesome to see that there's a borderless version of it. That's why I couldn't really miss out on this one. But anyhow, get this put up here. And I do have a third deck that I was just going to kind of touch on for a minute. In addition to DanDan, in a similar vein, 2-player, 1 deck, 80-card deck, I have this one that we just recently built. I've only played it once. I haven't had a chance to really play it too much. I've played it a couple times, actually. It's Jun. So this basically, it's not a monocolored like DanDan, and there's still interaction, but there's a lot less because it doesn't have blue. But it's built around the Jun decks that everybody has seen. So there's a lot of graveyard stuff, and so because you share graveyards, there's a lot of fun with things scaling and be able to pull things back from the graveyards and stuff like that. So I'm just going to run through it real quick. I'm not going to read every card. Just kind of show you it. So we have swamps, a couple forests, a couple mountains. For dual lands, there's a ton of them. Restless Vents, Gruel Turf, Rakdos, Carnarium, if I could say it correctly, Restless Cottage, 2 of those, Treetop Village, is just one of those, I think. That might be wrong. I might actually need to add one in there. Yeah, there's one of those missing. That's weird. So like I said, I just built this deck. Exotic Orchard. So you get to be able to pick any color. Zatora's Proving Ground. So these are cycle, but also triomes. Sulphur Springs. And that is, by the way, the most expensive card in the deck. This deck At using the cheapest versions currently cost you $75 to build. But these things are like $12 or $13 each card. So it's a majority of the cost, and those are proxies that I have in here. I did enjoy this enough, I'll probably upgrade those at some point. Anyhow, Sulphur Springs, Barrenmore, Landover Waste, Restless Ridgeline, Carpolson Forest, Treetop Village. There's the other one. I knew there was a second one somewhere. Lightning Bolts, Unearth, Tarmogoyfs. These are one of the other. So the 3 cards that are a little bit more expensive. Tarmogoyf, these aren't that bad. I think they're, for the cheapest ones, they're like $6. Inquisition of Kozilek, Hunt Master of the Fells, Bone Crusher Giant. This is kind of fun because it's got the adventure as well. Misinformation. It's an important one for this because you're putting 3 target cards from the opponent's graveyard on top of his or her library in any order. And you got 4 of those. Those are also, if I remember correctly, there's only been printed once. So if you ever want to build this, make sure you find these, pick these up. They're not expensive, but if this deck ever pops off, they will be very hard to do. Terminate, Dark Confidant. You can't really have Jund without Dark Confidant, right? And these are pretty cheap right now, given that they were printed in the Final Fantasy decks. Again, if you're going to do this, pick these up quick because these decks aren't going to be around for a super long time. Faithless Looting, Blood Fountain, Firebolt, Pulse of Marassa, Bloodbraid Elf, Seasoned Pyromancer. This is my other proxy. These things, you can get them for like $6 for the regular art. I just happened to be printing some cards, and I was like, these look pretty cool. Let's print those. Patchwork Bestie from Duskmourn, Stormfist Crusader, Tireless Tracker, Ignoble Hierarch, Blackmail, Culligan's Command, Dogged Detective from Murders Karloff. This is only available from this Murders Karloff deck, I think. And then Assassin's Trophy. There's 2 of them, but I am missing one. I bought it. I just don't know where it's at. I haven't found it. I tried to find it when I put all these in order, but Assassin's Trophy is the last card for that. And yeah, that's a lot of fun too. It's very different, but different in a good way. They're both fun to play. Because you don't have to have 2 decks to play them. This is a great one to be able to just show up. Like if you've got some buddies that play Magic here and there, and you're getting together, you can just drop this thing out, you know, 1 deck and jump in. It's a lot of fun. So same thing with DanDan. I do highly recommend, even if you don't get the Secret Lair, I think the Secret Lair was a great value if you like Secret Lair cards. But my DanDan deck, as it sits, using the artwork that I picked, which isn't necessarily the cheapest version now, it would be $78 to buy all the cards. That is with the DanDans currently coming up in price a little bit. There are some expensive DanDans. These borderless ones are like $9. The one from Arabian Nights is $20. You don't need those. The ones from Chronicles are $1.95. Keep it cheap. If the prices continue to go up, which I wouldn't be surprised on, with some popularity on it, just take your time, pick them up. They will drop, I promise. I spent too much on mine. I definitely spent more than $79, $78 on my DanDan deck because at the time, the DanDans themselves were just popping off. They were hard to find. There were none at my local game stores, and I had to order them. I actually ordered some of them on eBay, trying to get the best prices. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I paid, I think, twice as much, maybe more, for some of those DanDans than what they were later on. So just remember, even though they are relatively rare, they will drop in price. Every time the popularity pops off, everybody finds some of the old DanDans and lists them up. So anyhow, I don't know which one's going to be more fun to play. I will find out soon once I get mine sleeved up and ready to go. But I think both could be a lot of fun. So I recommend checking it out. It's still one of my favorite ways to play Magic. Anyhow, as far as things that are coming up, I do have, we do have I've got 2 more layers on order that haven't come in yet. Both of them are waiting on D&D cards because I have one D&D on the other layer. So hopefully we see those come in soon. As far as mail day stuff, I do have a mail day coming up because I've ordered some things, but I don't have anything else on order. So I probably need to pick up a few more cards to finish a couple decks up. And one of these days, if you guys are interested, I wouldn't mind going through some of my decks and start showing off a few decks that we built. We built tons of them, even just in the time that we've been recording this. So just let me know. Let me know what you think. Hope you guys have been doing well. Anyhow, this is Binder Miner. As always, thanks for watching. To put us in your binder, you can just like and subscribe, ring the bell to be notified, and you can catch us in your social media, which is linked down in the description below. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you later. Bye.